Well, I'll tell you what, that was quite the ride yesterday. I was just thinking about it this morning. A lot of things obviously going through my mind this time of year, the sales, the stakes, the races. We still got tons left to do, both here in Ontario and Ohio. We have Jug Week coming up. We have a number of horses racing on Jug Week. We have some horses racing this week coming up. So Jug Week is the week after, this week coming up. Which would be Ohio Sale Week, the biggest week, Thursday being the biggest day of the year in the Ohio calendar, which is the Ohio Select Sale, for sale season anyway. So yesterday I got up, drove to Buffalo, New York, right? Or I drove there the night before. Flew to Yonkers, raced the filly, flew back to Buffalo. Lauren and her boyfriend met me there with 3 horses in the back of the truck and trailer. So they drove the truck and trailer up to the Buffalo airport. The hotel across from the airport, the parking lot. Switched vehicles, and I continued on my way, drove to Ontario. Now, I got to Ontario today. I'll get to the filly in a minute. I drove to Ontario today because I had a number of horses I wanted to train. I want to train Century Invictus today. And there was a number of horses. A nice lady had sent some horses to us to train, which is a little unorthodox. We don't often get that, but we do from time to time. And I wanted to train them today and see where they were in their training. I have no idea, how much they've been, and you never really know, right? How hard they've trained, what they've done. I was pretty happy with everybody. A couple needed to go see the vet. But at the same time, a decent morning of training. It was great to be back home, talk to Harry, talk to Cindy and Mike and Nellie and her mom and Teresa, Deb, everybody in the barns, was starting to get excited. For these guys here in Ontario, it was kind of a really slow summer, right? Like Deb, all her horses were American horses. They all left, so she was left with 2 or 3 horses all summer long. Really, I want to make sure I get the right word. I guess just tiring, slow summer, which might be good for some people. But I know they're looking forward to getting the babies in and getting things going again. So it was nice to talk to everybody, all the clients and everybody that was at the barn area today. It was great to touch base with everybody and get everything trained. Now, circling back, went to Yonkers last night. The filly was 6th. Now, scoped her after. She was clean. She likely could be tired. And if she is, we can fix that. And if her blood comes back with something that needs addressed and can explain what looked to be a tiring trip, a tiring race, then fine, we'll address that at that point. I don't really want to get too far into that. Every year, we have somebody say, too bad we just couldn't have her fresh for the final, right? Virtually, now, when you send an email to me like that, what I'm hearing is, too bad that you couldn't do your job properly and have her good all year and into the final. Well, I'll tell you what, I told everybody, racing is timing, right? You look at a horse like Gertrude, and quite frankly, I think Gertrude might be a faster horse than Baumhugger anyway. Definitely a good horse in her own right, regardless if she's better than Baumhugger or not, it doesn't matter. She's a good filly. She ended up with 80,000 and run leaving the gate last night. If not the favorite, I guess one of the favorites. And a legit contender in the race on the run leaving. And Andy and Julie had a rough race that race. Their other horse made a break also. 2 made the final, 2 made breaks. So we know all about that. We went through it last week, but just goes back to show you, for those of you that think that it's a thestable.ca issue or an Anthony problem or a Jason or Harry or Mario problem. It isn't. This is racing. Andy and Julie Miller run a world-class stable and had some bad luck last night in that race. So, I understand most people. Again, I don't read too much into notes or emails because you can never tell what somebody is saying. To answer that person, quite frankly, it said, too bad she was tired for the final. Had she not raced hard all year, she wouldn't have made the final. So, and further to that point, unless I'm wrong, there's only one filly in the entire state of New York that raced in the Sire Stakes that made more money than her, and that was the filly that won last night. She had more money going in and she ended up with more. Maybe Tony Alani's filly too, I'm not sure. But not many. So to put together, over $100,000 with a 2-year-old trotting filly is a great feat. Do I wish she was fresher? The race worked out for us to get money, and actually I didn't do anything wrong. I got away. We were lucky, we just talked about Andy and Julie Miller's fillies making a break, leaving the gate. So leaving the gate and I drop in the 5-hole, I'm thinking, getting money. I know who's behind me. My brother Mark's behind me. And I like Mark's filly, but I don't think she's as good as ours. Or she hadn't been. Maybe she is a better filly, but she hadn't been. Timing works both ways. We talk about timing being like a bad thing. Like, just the timing of Slim Jimmy and you made a break. But timing works the other way, too. The timing of Bomb Hugger being good and ready to go all year long when maybe other fillies weren't ended up being very fortuitous for the people that own Bomb Hugger. She's a good filly. She's going to continue to be a good filly. Regardless of what took place last night, she was one of the best fillies in New York all year long. Had a great year, and I'm very proud of the work that everybody put into her. And whether it was the shipping or whether it was just a wear and tear of the year, you look at the fillies in Ohio, they have more starts. A horse like 1-2 Skip a Few is going to end up with like 14 starts this year. But we were able to keep them fresh because we had the fair circuit to kind of beat up on a little bit, right? You go to a fair and win by 7 lengths and 2-8. It freshens them up. Every time Bomb Hugger stepped on the track this year, it was right to the red line. It had to be to beat the horses she was in with. Whereas other horses we raced didn't have to be. Purple Aura's never looked stronger than she did the other night. She's already raced more times than Bomb Hugger this year. So that is what, going 12 rounds with the champ is not like going 5 rounds in a gym somewhere. And Old Bomber went 12 rounds with every champ all year, every race. And for her to be tired, she earned it. But at the same time, that's the way it is. Now, as I said, before I jump to conclusions, I am going to get her blood checked, make sure everything's all right. We do have a series that is supposed to be, by all accounts, historically speaking, a very watered down version of what she's been racing in all year. Doesn't mean that it will be. So I want to take a look at her blood. I want to take a look at her. She's carrying her weight. She seems sharp. And maybe she just can't trot 55. Maybe she just wheeled out into the end of the outer flow last night and said, whoa, what's going on here? It's very possible. It's just when I moved her, I thought she'd zip right around Mr. Stark's filly, be a decent 4th, maybe a 3rd if we're lucky. Instead, she was a concerning 6th. Let's call a spade a spade. It is what it is. So, decisions to make with Bomb Hugger, but a great year nonetheless. This week was a little tough to take, right? We started off the series finals this year with Taiwan On racing huge. 3rd beat ahead for 2nd race. Great. Then we had just absolutely horrific luck with Slim Jimmy. As I said, we documented it all week about the bittersweet findings with him. The bitter being the break in the final, the sweet being we know what happened. His was not due to exhaustion or tired throughout the year. His had to do with a wall separation that we caught in time. Sweet on Pete was just shitty luck, just really, really bad luck. So there's not much we can really do about that. But we'll move forward. Sweet on Pete, I know a lot of people were asking, is she done for the year? Sweet on Pete's not done for the year. She's not tired. Every horse in Ohio's raced more than Sweet on Pete, I believe. Sweet on Pete's going to the fair next Wednesday, and then she'll go to the Breeders' Championship the week after that. That's where Pete's going. Purple Aura, we have been crunching the numbers all week, and there is a minuscule chance if we don't race in the Buckeye, she might not make the final. But it's highly unlikely she won't make the final of the Buckeye, and she's already in the consolation. So we're likely racing Purple Aura in the Ohio Breeders' Championship also. Makes sense to me anyway. Why we would do that. I was going to get off here and get a tea, but I think I'll wait and get one in Woodstock. That's exactly what I'll do. So, Purple Aura and Sweet on Pete are likely going to the Ohio Breeders' Championship. Another gentleman said, why is Rose Run, why not racing in a maiden when she could race in the Buckeye? Okay. Fair ball. fair question, but I only was asked that question after she drew the 8-hole. So I'm going to call shenanigans on the question to begin with. Would you rather race for 8,500 in a class she should win, or race for 17.5 in one she likely can? Sweet on Pete, Rose Run Why Not cannot tackle Mama Knows Best and I'm a Lovely Lady and those horses just yet. She's headed in that direction. But to just race her, to say we're racing her for 17.5, I just didn't want to do that at all. You know, I'd rather race her in a maiden, race her in a fair. But I don't want to race her in the Buckeye just to say we did. And, you know, quite frankly, I can't help that she drew the 8-hole again. What were the odds of that? So she drew the 8-hole again. I probably won't take her to last this week after what happened last week. We'll probably let her dance out of there a little bit, get her up near the action. But at the same time, the decision to race her in the maiden over the Buckeye was very sound. It was the right decision to make. And we'll probably have a race for her in Jug Week also. You'll see Rose Run Why Not show up there. Just crappy luck with the draw. What else we got? Skippy has to win the Buckeye. I'd love to have one more favorable race for her. It looks like 1-2 Skip a Few and Purple Aura are going to race in the Buckeye final. Now, I will give everybody a heads up right now. I have to drive 1-2 Skip a Few, as I am a partner on 1-2 Skip a Few, but sadly I am not on Purple Aura that I'm aware of. And 1-2 Skip a Few is extremely tricky. Purple Aura is pretty push button. So before anybody gets surprised later on in the season when they see the draw come out, that's how it has to shake down. So 1-2 Skip a Few will be heading to the Buckeye this week. Of Tom is going to the field this week. She's done for the season. Just tired, right? You see that. As I said, Purple Aura and Sweet on Pete will be heading to the Ohio Breeders' Championship more than likely on Wednesday. So if you are trying to look at your calendar and figure out when you want to be in Delaware, that is how it is going to look. So we have today, we have the shipping back to Ontario. If you are a partner on the Illinois trotting colt, the white-faced guy, what the hell's his name? I got it right here. Cedar something. I had it right here. So we can buy this truck. Twin Cedars All-Star. He is now in Ontario. So we were getting a little busy in Ohio, and they're still, as I said to you a few minutes ago, they're still looking for horses here in Ontario. Deb only had 2 horses, I think, this week. So I shipped home Twin Cities All-Star, and Duke Dio came home. The reason Duke came home was because I decided we're not going to New Jersey with him. We'll race him in a maiden here. We've trained him in 2-3 twice. We might qualify him Tuesday. It might be a week from Tuesday. But Duke Dio is going to race in Ontario. So if you're a partner of mine on Duke Dio, he is in Ontario and he'll be racing in Ontario. You know, when I watched the 2-year-old maiden go in 204 in a 5-horse field at Flamborough, you don't have to be a genius to figure out where Duke Dio should be. So that's what we'll do moving forward. What else we got going on? They came home. Bomb Hugger's year May. She may be going to field. She may be still going to freehold. I don't know yet. If you were gonna put a gun to my head and say, oh, "What do you think after last night?" I'd say field. But I don't want to jump to any conclusions. I do want to get her blood work done. The good news is no blood, no mucus last night, and she was sound afterward. So we'll see. We'll take it from there. There's no need to jump to any conclusions. We can see everything in front of us, so that's not a problem. I would suspect Blue Bayou Dio is going to freehold. For those of you that are my partners on Blue Bayou Dio, she's got the final in Lexington next week. A week from Monday is the final, Commonwealth final, so like the grassroots final in Kentucky, and that is also where we are going to enter Unbeatable Kemp. That is why we opted to race him at Northfield. I'd like to get a good race into him. If he draws in the final in Kentucky, fine. He's sitting 12th or 13th right now. If he happens to draw in the final in Kentucky, wonderful. If he does not, then there's a good chance his year might be over. Unless he races like a monster on Monday at Northfield, in which case, half-mile track, he also fits the race at Freehold. So that's what's going on in my head right now. I'm obviously focused on going to see my boy Ollie play baseball. When did they put the outside merge lanes in Ontario? Those are so stupid. family's going to play baseball today. We get the North American Cup tonight. We got Resolute Bay, a number of their horses racing this weekend. It's going to be good to be home. I'll let you know right now, the apple, banana, berries, nuts, or whatever I could eat that wasn't meat diet worked really good. I lost about 8 pounds this week. Getting down to my fighting weight at Kentucky, so that's good. What else? We get the sales. I was so surprised. You know, I always say this, you guys are so great. I get an email from 1, then 2, then 3, then 4 people saying, okay, I heard you say that if you buy like an expensive horse, it would be outside the purview of that particular partnership. So what they're saying is in Ohio. Now, I think this was geared for at least 2 of the clients that sent me the email, geared towards Harrisburg and Lexington, but at least 2 of them were geared towards Ohio. And actually, I shouldn't say that. One of them may have been also talking about Ontario. If you have a horse that you pay a pretty good amount of money for. So last year we bought Century Invictus for almost $70,000. Turned out he's a really nice horse. We'll see how good he is next year, I think. But this year he's been very good. He's already paced 52, won a couple of races. Been very good, very close in the grassroots, and actually a contender, I believe, in the grassroots final. So in the grassroots division heading into the semifinals and finals. You know, what happens for a horse like that? Because if we have 3 buckets in Ontario, 30, 50, 70,000, I'm not going to buy one expensive horse for the $70,000 bucket. That's unfair to the people putting their money in there. If we're going to buy an expensive horse, we should do it cognitively, collectively, and agreeably together and say, okay, like I did last year, hey guys, I'm looking at a horse that's in the sale. I know this horse is probably going to bring, again, 50, 60, 70,000. Who's in? That's how we would get to that point. You know, for the people, Lexington, Harrisburg. Here, I'll make it as easy as I can. If you're out there, and there's a lot of you, and I didn't realize how many, and you're saying, Anthony, I like the fact that you bought 3 Point Blue Chip, and make no mistake, I couldn't be more giddy about 3 Point Blue Chip right now and how he could turn out, what he could be, what he could represent. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with him, and still very, very happy about acquiring him, what we got him for him, what he could become. Super happy across the board. So if you find another horse like that, well, it does not be a 6-figure horse, but a horse that you believe is worth more than you can get it for, or you just did get it for, count me in. I want to be a part of that group. So I don't know why I wasn't more vocal about this to begin with anyway. If you're out there and you're one of those people saying, Anthony, if you buy a 3 Point Blue Chip, I want to be a part of that partnership. I want to be a part of that ownership group. Because quite frankly, if I don't have people that are interested in becoming partners in horses like 3 Point, horses like Century Invictus, then I can't buy them. You know, I just can't. We're having a great year. You know, I like the position we put the stable in. I love the racing, the opportunities we had this year, the wins we've had this year. I'm just so impressed, proud, and humbled by what we've done at the stable across the board in North America this year. But at the same time, I have to be fair to myself. So if you're one of those people out there saying whether you wanted to buy a quarter of a horse like 3 Point or more or less, I am going to start compiling a list of people that might be interested in that little more expensive horse. So if I happen to see one, or if I happen to be Johnny on the spot, as I was with 3 Point last year, I know that I have you, our people, our clients, standing behind me to say, yeah, you know, I do want to be a part of that group. So please, if you're out there and you want to be a part of maybe a horse that might be a little more expensive, it's not something we generally do. I try to keep it to a minimum for obvious reasons, but at the same time, it is in my mind. I would like to be on the world stage, and you know, expecting Slim Jimmy to get us to Hambletonian is a little unfair to Slim Jimmy. So yeah, that's something I probably should have done when we were talking about all the partnerships and buckets and, you know, the way the position I want to take the model. Now, I will be honest with you. everybody wants to, and I hear people say it all the time. Well, I like the way the model was where, you just bought everything and then we just bought it. Come on. You know why I can't do that all the time, right? You get it. This shouldn't be a shocking development for you. I put my neck, financial and literal, on the line for 6 years to ensure we got the stable off the ground. All I'm asking is that people look at our results and look at the way I approach purchasing horses, developing horses, training horses, and then racing horses, and say, you know what? I believe we're in the right place. I believe in what Anthony's doing. I believe in what the stable represents, and move forward in a way that involves a lot of trust, right? A lot of trust. So simply because it just puts me behind the 8 ball. And people have said, well, Anthony, I don't know. You look at that New York filly, she sold out right away. You look at hip number 175 in Illinois, sold out right away. That's wonderful. What about the other Ohio colt that has 80% left on them right now? What about the other 2 Illinois breds that have 80% on them right now? It's not as easy as it looks. I'll pick up the phone and I'll get those shares sold. But as I said, the art of picking up the phone and calling our clients and saying, hey, would you be interested? That takes away from other things I can be doing for the stable as a whole, in general. So that is why I'll continue to explain this, because a lot of people still struggle with the idea that, I'm not going to buy as many horses blindly as I did last year. I just can't. Now, pushing past that, I had said to everybody, I'm going to sell all 100 lots of the $300 bucket, and then those lots will be up for sale right away. And I think some people kind of took that as, I'll get in when I get in. Well, I can tell you this. I am going to be frugal this year, and if our Ontario clients, our people that want Ontario breds, are going to put me in a position where I'm not as comfortable buying as many Ontario breds, then I won't. So for those of you out there saying, Anthony, I'll just let you fill up that 30, that 300, the 500, the $700 bucket, representing $30,000 worth of purchases, $50,000, $70,000, and then I'll get in later on. I can tell you what's going to happen right now. I'm going to fill up the first bucket, maybe the second, and that'll be it. And you won't get in, because the people that buy into those horses will want to keep those shares. In Ohio, I'm certain there'll be lots of movement, because I plan on buying 10 or 12 horses for that partnership. And I know a lot of people, the trotting people don't want the Pacers. The trotting filly people don't want the trotting colts and the Pacers. The pacing people may not want the trotting fillies and trotting colts. There'll be lots of shares for everybody on the private market. For those of you out there thinking that, oh yeah, but they're just going to jack the prices up, so don't buy them. Simple supply and demand. If the pacing people don't want a trotting filly and they put the price up there for an exorbitant amount of money, just leave it there. This forces the seller to go back to fair market and the buyer to buy accordingly. And that's how the private market has always worked. For those of you out there worrying there's not going to be shares, there's going to be lots of shares for people to purchase. But I am warning you, and I am telling you right now, for the people that are Ontario purchasers, if you're out there saying, I'm just going to let the buckets fill up and I'll get some shares later, okay. I'm only going to buy according to what buckets fill up. So I can tell you right now, there's between 32 and 38% sold in the 300, the 500, and a little bit less in the 700. And I will simply just message the people in the $700 bucket and say, hey, I'm going to move you into the 500 bucket. They will get first choice at the 500 bucket because they are clients. And I don't want to collapse that $700 one, but I will if I have to. So I am asking that people take a serious look at what we're doing and how we're doing it. If you're dead against allowing me to purchase horses on your behalf for those buckets, then I don't want you outside your comfort zone. By all means, just sit back and watch and see what happens. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not overextending in any jurisdiction this year. Even our New York clients have reached out to me and say, Anthony, we're here. We're here for you. There are 2 or 3 horses I like in the Goshen sale. I hope you didn't think there was going to be a sale get by me. I know there's one today for Illinois and Indiana, but Indiana's a lot like New York. It's going to be a little niche for us, a little corner market for us, and we are going to buy there. There's not going to be a ton. Indiana, New York, New Jersey, 2 or 3. That's what we're going to do. Pennsylvania, Ohio. Pennsylvania will be 6 to 8. Ohio will be as many as I can. And Ontario also will be dictated by you. So please, if you're out there and you're saying, I'll contact Anthony later on, keep in mind there's a sale September 26th. I want to have all the buckets in place, all the money in place, where I can look and say, okay, I have the $30,000 bucket full, the $50,000 bucket full, the $70,000 bucket full. I'm good. So if I happen to see a Century Invictus and say, okay, that's cool, I really like his full brother is in the sale, by the way. Here's a horse that I like. I like everything about him, but he's going to bring a little bit more. I'm going to reach out to Tom, Dick, and Harry. I'm going to reach out to the people that are in Ontario first that probably were Century Invictus owners and say, hey, if I bought another one for $70,000, would you be interested? I can do that, but I don't have time to do that if I'm constantly trying to fill these buckets up. So please, if you have interest, let me know right away. I want to get these filled up immediately. So they are filling up. They did start to fill up quickly, and I know that people are going to take in what I'm saying, and I'm going to have people message me over the next week or two. But as it stands right now, I am actively looking to fill up those 3 buckets first and foremost. So that's where we're at right now. Super excited about the Ohio sale coming up this week. I've already started jumping out in Ohio. I would like to get out to Springhaven and Midland Acres to get a look at their horses. I just couldn't connect with Sanina last week to get it done with Springhaven. But either way, Amy and I are going to be at the sale on Thursday morning looking at every horse. We're going to bring you lots of videos. So Ohio is going to be a lot of fun this year. I'm super happy. And again, I can't thank you enough for allowing me to do this. And the people I'm speaking to are the people that bought up those lots, bought up those opportunities to be a part of the Ohio partnership. I truly appreciate that. You have no idea the stress it takes off my plate. I can go home tonight, review the sale again quickly with my wife and say, these are the 60 or 70 we're looking at in the whole sale of 280. These are the ones we're looking at. And again, for those of you that are pacing people out there, I had a couple of people say, Anthony, I know you said down by the seaside's the only way to go. I get that. I don't disagree. Just please take a look at them. Don't just turn the page because they're pacers and because they're down by the seasides. I have not. I have multiple lists on my being right now. These are lists that are built in pacers, trotters, fillies, colts, and down by the seasides. Hey, if we can't get it down by the seasides, do we have alternatives? I have that list also. So don't worry, all the bases will be covered for Ohio. I'd like to start doing the same for Ontario, and then obviously as it comes, we do have Lexington coming up. We can work as a group. I think we have a pretty specific plan set out for Harrisburg, where we will have sophomores that will be up for sale and things of that nature that we're trying to do. But what about Lexington? That's where we're going to spend a pile of money this year, right? So Ohio's in place. For those of you that are Ontario clients, please take a serious look at what we're doing here. 3 buckets, I'd like to fill them all up, move on to maybe a Century Invictus type horse if that's what we're going to do, and then focus on the most expensive sale of the year, which is Lexington. So, a ton going on right now. I'm getting closer to Woodstock, going to see my boy play baseball. I'm super, super pumped. Very happy with the way the week went. Yeah, Baumhugger was a kick in the butt, but listen, she worked her butt off all year. That's a filly that worked her ass off all year, deserves every cent she made, every win picture that we got from her. She earned it and did a great job. And if last night was just her saying, all right, I'm getting a little tired, then fine. We know what we can do to fix that. Head to the field. For those of you that don't Blue Bayou Dio, Unbeatable Kemp, now Blue Bayou Dio is going to Freehold. That's almost certain. Unbeatable Kemp, at this point, may at best be a coin flip. We still have tons of racing in Ohio. We got Jug Week coming up. We have the sale, then Jug Week coming up. Kentucky coming up. The finals here in Ontario. We don't have anything for the gold finals, but we will hopefully be shooting for the grassroots semifinals and finals with a number of horses. We have, then we have the Ontario sales. We have Lexington. We have another Ontario sale coming up, and then Indiana, Harrisburg, and it would be great if we could get a couple of days rest. So, a ton going on right now in my head, on the road, on the track. It has been a great summer. It continues to be a great summer. thank you all for the very kind messages when I had a bad day or a bad week, and you know, the chin-ups come in. Thanks so much. And for the people that want to support us moving forward, I can't thank you enough. So, very humble thank you, and take in what's left of a great summer. Take in the weekend. Hopefully it's as sunny and beautiful where you are as it is where I am, because it has been a great day so far. Talk to you all very, very soon. Good luck, Ollie.